The fiscal cliff and the hopes of reaching a deal continue to dominate the non-Petraeus headlines in D.C., in part because markets dropped more than 200 points today, and many people say in large part because fears of that approaching cliff, but also because that cliff now just 48 days away. Nice graphic. But battle lines are being drawn, and there's a new worry for the GOP holding to a firm line on any deal, and that is the public. 51% in a new poll say they don't think D.C. can get a deal done, and 53% say they'll likely blame the GOP if in fact that happens. And voters say they're keeping very up to date on the process. So, no surprise, the president was asked about the cliff at the press conference today, and he said he preferred raising top-end tax rates as part of any deal, something he says voters signed off on last Tuesday. But he also said he'd listen to any other ideas that bring in more revenue from the top 2%. But the key are those top tax rates.
We can then set up a structure whereby we are dealing with tax reform, closing deductions, closing loopholes, simplifying, dealing with entitlements, and I'm ready to, and willing to make big commitments to make sure that we're locking in the kind of deficit reductions that stabilize our deficit.
Now, that was in stark contrast to the position being taken up by the GOP's budget and fiscal architect. I'm talking about our buddy Paul Ryan. In his first interview since not becoming VP, he said, if you raise taxes, it could be no deal.
What we have learned, history and economics, is that if you keep raising tax rates on job creators, it will cost us jobs.
But could you see yourself supporting a plan that raises tax rates?
You know, I'm
on
not,
the top
I'm not
2%?
for raising tax rates.
So you won't support a plan?
I don't want to get into negotiating with the media, but I do not support raising tax rates.
Okay, he may not be, but signs are from everybody from Boehner on down, Tom, that they know they got to give here a little bit. Now, do you think the negotiation, if you had to guess, is that they're going to be debating on the rates? Or they're going to be debating on the revenue, because there's two different ways to get there. Maybe it's, all right, we're not going to 39, we'll go to 37. Maybe we'll start this in 2013, not, you know what I mean? Or maybe between the exemptions and cutting down on some of the deductions, we'll find some kind of happy medium. What do you think at the end is the deal Republicans can live with?
I think the deal that Republicans can live with is that I don't really believe that raising $55 billion from the 250 and above, which is the number, and that runs your government for 11 days. I have no problem with it if you have serious spending cuts. I mean, I think that Republicans, by and large, just believe that we spend too much money. We've had this argument here, you know, if you make more than $250,000, and again, for those who do, a lot of it is tough on some families who have two kids in college and a mother and a father working. It's not like you're making a lot of money after you're paying $100,000 a year in college, as you know. The problem is that I think Republicans want to feel like we can't keep incurring $1 trillion a year debt. If there's serious cuts in spending, I think that we could go along and say we can't raise taxes on the middle class. We need to bring in $58 billion. But again, that's only 11 days worth. It's not a lot of money you're bringing in.
And politically, Dom, I think the president wants to give a little. I think if he and Boehner, and I think they figured this out, they can use each other. Obama knows he's got to do something about Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid. Let Boehner be the one to push, so he said, I had to give in on that. Boehner knows he's going to have to raise taxes here and make him say, I had to fought like a dog, but I had to give in on that. At the end of the day, Boehner gets back his party. President gets what he wants, and he also looks fiscally prudent by making some of the cuts that he knows he's going to have to make here on the offsets. I think they both can use each other. Maybe not exactly what they want, but they get a lot of what they want. And if there was more time, I think they'd throw in stuff like immigration reform, which Republicans would be a high five in the president
That's the only thing I disagree with you with. You can't throw anything else in here because it's already complicated enough to get this deal done. I do agree that leaders of political parties, history has shown us that they use each other to argue an opposite point of view and to get the deal done. What Tom just said is very reasonable. I think every viewer watching would agree with Tom Doherty. But the problem is national Republicans, up until after this election, they were not singing this song.
We're going to keep this thing going after the break here. The Fiscal Cliff. Stay with us.